I'm going to set you up real quick for a further discussion about that. Okay, so Enjoy couldn't hold on for just a second longer till we got to the next slide. That's all about SLP and these issues. But really, you have two ultimate choices, right? You can throttle emissions on the front end, or you can introduce burning mechanisms that it kind of sounds like make way more sense to hold off until we get Origin released into a state where, you know, those burning mechanisms can be used for vertical progression in a game that we all want to play for, you know, a longer period of time to come. It's going to be constantly updated with new features and new, you know, I think again, like in terms of Clash Royale or other games like that, where, you know, they constantly are introducing kind of new characters and cards and stuff. And to me, that makes absolute sense. I'm hoping that Origin kind of goes that sort of path with maybe new. We already kind of have an idea that there will be eyes and ears and so forth like that. But yeah, so in that sense, the real hard questions, like with where things are at, like I was looking today, just today, I guess it was technically yesterday, there was almost, I think it was a little bit more than 500 million SLP that was minted today. So again, you have the two choices. We're kind of in a holding pattern for Origin. You mentioned the economic changes that are coming are going to be tough love, tough medicine for the community economy. Can you tell us what you're talking about? Are there changes that are coming soon? What are you thinking?
Well, first, right, like I'll say is, right, like we put out the developer update, so the dev journal around like thinking around economic balancing, right? And we discussed a couple of options there, right? Like basically rebalancing the rewards, getting rid of a lot of emission, right? You know, changing the breeding fee, right? And we also asked for feedback from the community, right? And we saw, a lot of community members really step up and propose some really, really well-balanced ideas around how to basically stop the bleeding so that we can, right, turn the economy around in the coming months, especially, right, as we lead up to the launch of Origin. So, yeah, like, right now, more like around half of all SLP is being minted from adventure and the daily quest, right? A lot of this is, right, like what are the types of behavior that we want to be rewarding in our ecosystem is, right, we want to reward skilled gameplay. We want to reward gameplay that's making the game more fun, if that makes sense, right? Like when people queue for PvP, they're making the game more fun, right? Like when I used to play Axie a lot, in the early days, I used to have to play because there weren't enough people playing, right? So I would be, I would be queuing to provide liquidity so that, someone else could have fun by playing the game by matching up against me, right? So when you queue for the arena, right? The more people that queue for the arena, the faster matches people get, and the more likelihood they're playing against someone at their skill level. That's providing real value for the ecosystem because it's making the game more fun. That's not the case, unfortunately, when you're playing against, where you're doing adventure mode day after day, just doing that over and over and over again. I would love to live in a world where anyone could, just farm that day after day and make a living, but unfortunately, right, that's not, it just goes against the laws of the universe.
Well, I mean, if you're just clicking level 1 50 times and getting rewarded 50 SLP, it doesn't really feel to me like you're doing anything creative, intelligent. It's just kind of like pushing a button, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing, right, like I will say, like, adventure, some people love adventure and some people like PvE. But, right, like we can't really, it's just very, very difficult to reward that kind of behavior in this new paradigm, in this new type of a game. Right, so it's like what type of adventure mode would it, let's think about, like, what type of adventure mode would it be possible to reward, let's say potentially in the future. Something like Slay the Spire, where, right, people they do run, they progress, right? Like
it's challenging, harder and
as
harder.
far as possible before you die. And then there's a leaderboard, and then that leaderboard, just like with the Axis leaderboard, has set emissions, right? So that we know that it's kind of under control. We know exactly how much the budget is for that game mode per period,
SLP,
right? That's the type of adventure mode that we could actually reward sustainably in the long run. The current system, unfortunately, it doesn't work. It was nice as a like promotional activity to get the game going and to, you know, get people into the community and help the ecosystem grow. But it's just not sustainable. So yeah, like, you know, we should be prepared for really tough medicine. The patient is sick. Need to be the doctor in this case as stewards of the economy. Sometimes you have to go through chemotherapy to root out the cancer. And unfortunately, right, we've gotten into this position, right? Like this whole, right, like adventure mode, the daily quests were really great and they've helped us get to where we are. But in order for us to get to the next level, we're going to have to make some hard decisions. So yeah, we're looking to roll out some changes that will reduce issuance very drastically to get it back in line with burning, with the rollout of Season 20. And I also want to announce the changes prior to the release of Season 20. Why? Because I think it's better to, right, just like, you know, the Fed, right? You want to start forecasting economic change in advance. That's also why I'm here, right? That's also why, for example, you know, I retweet certain ideas that I think, you know, make sense, right? Because we're forecasting to the market, to the community, what types of ideas we think, right, are needed, so that, right, like they start to prepare themselves mentally and what have you.